Hello again, Commanders. I'm Trajan Rex, and today is going to be the part 1 video for my tutorial on mapped mining for platinum in resource extraction sites. Since Frontier Development's recent tinkering has made low temperature diamonds completely unviable, and painite at best occasionally a good moneymaker, a lot of commanders are struggling to make those fat stacks of cash that you need for a fleet carrier or any number of other things in this game. Part 1 of this tutorial is going to cover how to make a map for mining. Since asteroids are persistent assets in this game for reasons passing understanding, you can mine the same asteroid every single time you drop into an area, so you can prioritize your high concentration asteroids. But there's a trick to making sure that your map is something that you can follow time and time again. And so we're going to go to my favorite spot to mine platinum, which is a high resource extraction site at Delcar 7. It's only 20 light years away from Shinrarta Desra. It's one jump and a cutter, and it's a great spot to get very high yields very quickly. As far as what ship or build to use, pretty much anything will work. I'm using my Clipper because, in case you couldn't tell from my name, I am quite a fan of the Empire. But the only really important components for making a map are a 5A prospector limpet controller, any mining laser, and then as much cargo space as you can manage so that you have enough prospector limpets to be able to make a large map. Also, if you're making a map of a hotspot rather than a resource extraction site, you're definitely going to need your detailed surface scanner so that you can find the hotspot. The nice thing about resource extraction sites is you only need to detailed surface scan them once to make sure that they're in the middle of the kind of hotspot that you're looking for, and then you can just find your way back to the resource extraction site, and you don't need to bring a detailed surface scanner with you. This high resource extraction site at Delcar 7 is very easy to find because it is the high resource extraction site that's right next to a low, like they're right on top of each other. And if I had my detailed surface scanner, you would see that there's a platinum hotspot smack on top of the both of them. Mining in resource extraction sites has become popular recently because a resource extraction site gives you a bonus to the yield from every single fragment that you mine inside of it. That bonus goes way outside of 20 kilometers from the center of the resource extraction site. A low resource extraction site gives you 25%, a regular gives you 50, a high gives you 75, and a hazardous gives you a 100% bonus. I prefer high resource extraction sites because the 75% bonus is great, but there are actually cops around that will help you with pirates. I find hazardous resource extraction sites, you get bogged down in way too much fighting and it actually slows you down. The trick to making your map in a resource extraction site is making sure that you start from a reproducible spot. There are two easy ways to do that. One is to start at the 20-kilometer mark towards the planet, and the other is to start at the 20-kilometer mark away from the planet. For your first map, I recommend doing the 20 kilometers that is on the planet side of the resource extraction site. It's very easy to start. All you do is target the resource extraction site, put it directly behind you in the reticle on the top left, and then point your ship dead center on the planet and fly out to 20 kilometers. Once you are at a good stopping point, align yourself correctly, and then take your first screenshot that will show your starting position. Starting your map for the other side of the resource extraction site is the same, with one additional step. Target the planet first and align that to be directly behind you. And then target the resource extraction site and using your thrusters, but without changing your heading, line the resource extraction site up to be right behind you. This gives you your 2 points to make sure that you're always on the same heading and always starting from exactly the same spot. Once you have reached your 20-kilometer spot, turn towards the resource extraction site, make sure it's lined up at the center of the planet, and take your first screenshot that will be your starting position. Now that we have our starting XY positions, we need to make sure that we determine our Z position. Are you on the top of the ring or the bottom of the ring? And the way to determine that is to target the star. If it's above you, I would call that the top of the ring. If it's below you, I would call that the bottom of the ring. It doesn't make a difference. You just need to know which side of the ring you're starting on so you can correctly align yourself as you go through the map. Once your starting position is determined, it's time to start prospecting. This rock is 36%. That's an acceptable starting rock. It's right at the 20-kilometer boundary. One of the keys when you're making your map is to tag the rocks with your mining laser. Just knock one fragment off. Just make them not 100%. The reason you're doing this is you're going to be casting prospector limpets all over this ring from all kinds of different angles. And if you don't mark an asteroid after you've selected it for your map, it's very easy to wind up with duplicates later on when you're prospecting from a different angle and all you see is a 50% plus asteroid. It could be something that you've tagged 5 or 6 asteroids ago in your map, and you wouldn't know it if you didn't knock a little bit of the percentage off so that you can tell when you prospect it again later. Once you find a new acceptable asteroid to mark, aim yourself at it with the prospector limpet selected so you know the percentage, and take your screenshot. Move to the asteroid. Make sure to tag it with your mining laser so that it's not at 100% anymore. And then set up for prospecting your next rock. I move directly beneath the asteroid, as I believe most people do. That way you always have a consistent, reproducible vantage point from which to find the next rock in your map when you're going back through here. It doesn't matter where you actually position yourself as long as it's consistent, but underneath seems to work best. That way you don't run the risk of crushing collector limpets when you come back through here and mine it. And now you're just essentially repeating the process over and over again. Prospect all the nearby rocks, find the highest percentage that you can, screenshot it from the position that you're in underneath the previous rock, move to it, tag it, go underneath it, and start prospecting again. The process of making a map is just going to be slow. The more time you take with it, the more densely packed you're going to get your asteroids that have high concentrations, and the more rapidly you're going to be able to go through it and fill your cargo hold when you come back here to mine. Take your time making your map, and it will pay dividends when you come back through. This is doubly true when making a map inside of a resource extraction site. The faster you can get in, fill your cargo hold, and get out, the fewer engagements you're going to have with pirates, and the more money you're going to make per unit time. I can usually manage to get in and out of this extraction site in 45 minutes, usually with 1 or 0 fights, and fill my cutter's cargo hold. So the more efficient you are with your map, the more efficient you'll be overall. And here, we're going to get lucky and find 2 high concentration asteroids right next to each other. When that happens, which asteroid you choose to put first in your map ultimately doesn't matter, but you do want to think of line of sight. If I chose the lower asteroid, when I move underneath it to start my next set of prospecting or to get my next screenshot, there's a good chance I won't be able to see the upper asteroid. So if you start with the top one, the bottom one is much easier to use as your next asteroid in your map. Now, it may look like I do a bunch of unnecessary turning around here. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I know where up is when I take this screenshot. It's very easy to get turned around. You're in space. There is no up. Everything is everywhere, and that's fine. But if you're trying to make sure that you always do this the same way, keeping an up and a down is key. And here we will see why you tag your asteroids with a mining laser. That asteroid is at 97%. From this angle, I would never have remembered that I had already mapped that asteroid, and I bet you wouldn't have either. This is how you wind up never having a duplicate asteroid in your map. And there you have it, Commanders. Just repeat this process over and over again until you run out of prospector limpets, and you have your very own map for mining. In part 2 of this series, we will cover how to actually use that map to mine effectively and the best builds to use in order to mine in a resource extraction site without dying. Thank you very much for joining me in this tutorial, and if you found it helpful, I would greatly appreciate a like or a subscribe, anything to help get these videos out there. I would like to be able to have a positive impact on the community, and I definitely need your help to do that. Good luck and have fun.